Hello and welcome to Pause Lesson 2. Today we are revising the 3 key parts of the brain, and I'm also going to introduce you to a tool that we give the kids, which is a mind jar. You will know that you're successful when you can name 3 parts of the brain: the prefrontal cortex, the amygdala and the hippocampus, and understand how each part works. Your brain lives inside your head. It has so many different parts and they all work very hard. The 3 parts that we're learning about are the prefrontal cortex, the amygdala and the hippocampus. Now these are really big names, so to help the children understand and remember those big part names in the brain, we've linked an animal to each one. Wally, the prefrontal cortex, is the wise old owl. Wally lives in the very front part of the brain called the frontal lobe. Wally makes our smart choices, solves problems and does our thinking. Gabby, the amygdala, is the guard dog. Gabby lives deep in the center part of the brain called the temporal lobe. Gabby is responsible for behaviors and our emotions. Ellie, the hippocampus, is the memory-saving elephant. Ellie lives deep in the center part of the brain called the temporal lobe as well, right next door to the amygdala. Ellie is responsible for forming, organizing and storing our memories. Here are some YouTube clips that you can watch with your students at any time to revise the different parts of the brain and the jobs, and also just some informative facts about the brain. This is a little chant that I created with some students to help them remember the 3 parts of the brain. I'll show it to you now. Prefrontal cortex, wise old owl, thinking part of the brain. Amygdala, guard dog, emotional part of the brain. Hippocampus, elephant, memory part of the brain. Now, I just wanted to note that I always make sure that the students understand that even though we're pointing to the top of the brain for the amygdala, it actually is housed deep in the center of the brain. Fun fact, this is a real picture of an adult hippocampus beside a seahorse. The origin of the name hippocampus comes from ancient Greek, and it actually means seahorse or sea monster, and it was thought that the hippocampus looked similar to a seahorse. If you put your hands together like this, it's approximately the size of your brain. And as you grow, it continues to grow till the age of 25. The thumbs can represent the prefrontal cortex. The pointer fingers represent the amygdalas deep inside the brain. And the tall men's represent the hippocampus. Now for lesson 2, we're adding on to understand how a mind jar can represent our brain and also how it can be used as a self-regulation tool. This is an excellent clip that you can watch with your students at any time to help them understand why the mind jar represents our brain. In the Pause program, the Pause mind jar has 2 purposes. The first one is it represents how the brain looks when the amygdala fires, as all the thoughts and feelings and emotions are swirling around, just like this one. And the second part that we use, it is the first regulation tool that we use for students. They shake their jar, then place their hands on their anchor spot, and then take some deep breaths while watching the glitter fall. The students learn very early in the piece that the mind jar is a tool, not a toy, and it is only to be used for self-regulation. They also learn that it's their brain and it's their responsibility. So once they understand how their amygdala fires when they have big emotional reactions and that they have to calm it down using tools that they've been taught, they then learn that it's up to them to set themselves up for success and have their prefrontal cortex, their thinking part of the brain, working and talking to the hippocampus and their amygdala nice and calm. This is an additional activity that you can use with your kids from the student booklet if you so choose to. This is one for the older students, just joining the names of the brain up to what their jobs are. Thanks very much for your time today.